Hello, this is dimensional analysis, and we're basically learning about ways to change from one unit to another. So this is also known as the factor labeling method or the unit factor method, just another fancy way of telling us how to convert from one unit of measure to another. And it basically deals with measurable quantities such as length of measure, time, or temperature, or something like that. Okay. Now the procedures, and you know I'm like really into procedures, and so the first step is to figure out what unit of measure you want to have in the answer. Second step is what kind of information do you have currently? What does the problem give you? And also what conversion factors do you know of? Now I will be giving you a conversion factors sheet as well as an equation sheet for you to use throughout the class time. That same exact sheet that I will be providing for the quiz and also for exams will be given to you on those days. Now, it basically means that you don't really have to memorize any of the equations or conversion factors. You just need to know how to use it. So that's my guarantee to you. So then, that's a little sidebar. But now step 3 is what do you want or what do you need to know? Step 4 is to solve the problem. For the purposes of the quiz for this Friday, you will not need to solve it, which means that you will not need to bring in a calculator. So this Friday's quiz is calculator free. I just want you to show me the steps of how to convert from one unit to another, and that's how I'm going to be grading you for the quiz this Friday. So the example is asking you to tell me how many seconds there are in one day. So then you want to go for the first procedure, is to figure out what you want to know in your answer. So in this case is seconds in a day, okay, or seconds per day. So per is seconds over day. That's kind of where you want to head up to, okay? So that's the unit measure you want to have, seconds in a day. So then what do you know? Well, first of all, you have some background information already. You know that in a minute there are 60 seconds. So to write it in as a kind of equations, so to speak, you'll write it in as 60 seconds per 1 minute. And you know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, so you can write it in as 60 minutes per hour. And you know that there are 24 hours in a day, so you'll write it in as 24 hours per day. So that's kind of how the conversion factors work. And when you look at the conversion factors tomorrow, the sheet that I'll be providing for you, this sheet will give it in a slightly different format, but in essence, it'll be used in the same way. So now step 3, what do you need to know? Well, just like most things, there are multiple steps. There are multiple ways of getting to a certain location. So for this particular example, you need to know that you are starting off with 1 day and you're trying to get to the point where there are it gets to the point where you only have seconds left, like how many seconds there are in the day. So pick the things that you know from a factor that has seconds on the top, or however you want to do it. This is just one of 2 or 3 ways to do it. So this is just the one way. Okay. So if you have any questions throughout this whole thing, write it down so that I could answer it for you on Tuesday and on Wednesday. Okay. So you start with 60 seconds per minute. Okay. And you continue by canceling out other factors that have a similar factor. So if you start off with seconds per minute, 60 seconds per minute, you want to keep seconds because that's part of the answer, right? You want to know how many seconds there are in a day. So you have seconds, and so you have minutes on the bottom, 60 seconds per minute. This is equivalent, right? These are equivalent. They're equal to each other. Just like what we talked about when we talk about the equal sign, it having to be equal on both sides of the equation. 60 seconds, 1 minute, they're equivalent. They have the same value. So you want to have another conversion factor that also has the same value. In this case, 60 minutes per hour. Okay? So then what you are able to do is you, just like in math, you'll cross cancel out. In this case, not the number, but the units. Treat the units as an individual, kind of like an entity. Okay? The reading that you're supposed to do for Reading Monday, that one I am telling you to do for homework, on page 647 and 648, that is what it's basically talking about, how to use units in physics. So you cross cancel out the minutes. So you have 60 minutes per hour. So now you have seconds per hour. Okay, so now in seconds per hour, you have the concept of getting the minutes per hour, getting rid of the hours. So you know that there's 24 hours in a day, as previously discussed. So then we can cross cancel out the hours. So we're left with seconds on top, days on the bottom. And that's basically where we want to get to. 60 seconds, 60 minutes, 24 hours, minute on the bottom, an hour on the bottom, and a day on the bottom. So basically, step 4 will be for us to solve it. So once all the units has been canceled out, you're only left with the units that you really want. Then it's time for you to multiply all the numbers on the top, the numerator, and then you multiply all the numbers on the bottom, the denominator. And what you'll do is then divide the numbers, the top by the bottom number, and you should get your answer. Okay? So here are some, pretty common conversion factors. I suggest that you write them down in case you need to make reference to it. Writing it down tends to help you remember these values. So 12 inches is equal to 1 foot, 3 feet equals to 1 yard, so on and so forth. These are pretty useful. I don't think everybody knows, that there are 8 ounces in a cup and that there are 2 cups in a pint and there are 2 pints in a quart, 4 quarts in a gallon. I don't think many people know that. So this is kind of useful to know since we're living in the United States. Okay, so if you want to write these down and you want to pause, go ahead and do that. And so I could go on to the next slide, which is the final slide. So here are some practice problems, okay, 1 through 8. So given the conversion factors on the previous slide, you should be able to have enough information to do 1 through 8. Now, knowing that most of you have taken chemistry last year, you should know how to do this. Now, in the event that you don't know, plan on asking questions on Tuesday or on Wednesday so that you will be able to get this down. Okay? So if you need more time on this, go ahead and hit pause, and you should be able to solve it on your own leisure. But I do encourage you to try for it, and then if you have any questions, do ask. All right, I will see you tomorrow.